Hi, thanks for tuning in. I'm Chad Everett of the Wrestling Shed. Before we get to the next video, I'd like to share some news. Our very first sponsor is on board, and it's none other than Fogtown Barbershop. Check out the boys and girls down on Fogtown at 134 Water Street for all your barber needs. That's right, you can check them out at fogtownbarber.com. Check out their side shop, pick up a hat, a shirt, a hoodie, some stickers, anything you need or would want, check them out now. You go to their online store, use the code WrestlingShed, 10% off. Thanks for the folks down there. Go down, check them out. All right, we're here at the Wrestling Shed Live with what turns out to be now our very first guest due to some scheduling conflicts. Mr. John Skyler is here with us today. John, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, Chad. I'm honored to be your first guest. This is awesome.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy and you're on the up and up in the wrestling world. So I do appreciate this time to join our little podcast, our little show we have here at Wrestling Shed Live.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm ready to dive in and answer some questions.
Excellent. Excellent. You're looking well, man. You're looking very well.
Yeah, I'm feeling well. Just came off of 8 months out of, having my ACL fixed.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm glad to be back in the ring. I'm feeling like I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. So I'm just happy to be back.
You're not looking as good as I am, but you're looking pretty good. All right, John, let's get a little backstory where you came from and how you started. So basically, how did you get into wrestling? Obviously, you were a fan growing up and stuff, but how did you actually get into training and actually start to be a wrestler?
So I was going to local independent shows here in South Carolina, and I was a student at the University of South Carolina at the time, getting an education degree. Still didn't really know what I wanted to do in terms of like life and being an adult. And it kind of all came back to wrestling. I was a huge fan of wrestling growing up. Wanted to be a WWE superstar since I was a kid, having matches with my friends in the backyard and, all that nonsense. So I just decided one day, like once I started kind of hanging around the independent shows, I had a couple of the guys ask me if I was interested in, being a wrestler. And first couple times I ever got in a ring were at some of those, indie shows just before the show, before doors opened. I would help set up the ring, tear the ring down, put up chairs, just kind of help however I could support my local independent. And obviously didn't make any money, was doing it all pro bono for free. So I would just do it and try to get there early, get the ring up so I could get some time in the ring. Once I realized that like show days can be a little bit busy, guys kind of need the ring for certain things, I realized, maybe this isn't the best route to go in terms of training to be a wrestler. So then I just kind of asked around, did some research, and I got trained by a guy named Bob Keller in South Carolina back in 2008. So it seems like it was yesterday. And then you realize it's now been 13 years. So I trained with Bob for only a couple months. I picked up everything pretty quickly, and I think that's because I was such a fan growing up. Because if you watch it long enough, you can kind of pick up on some things and see how things are done. And so it didn't take long, and then I really started learning on the road, learning from guys like Lodi and Steve Carino and C.W. Anderson and Rock and Roll Express. People like that really took me under their wing and taught me a lot.
Excellent. Yeah, Rock and Roll Express are definitely a couple of guys that would be very handy to taking out the information and absorb as much as you could from those guys. So that's awesome. Basically, so you started in 2008, but a couple of years after that, you came to Newfoundland. Was it not for your very first time?
Yeah, that was actually my first time.
12, was it correct?
I believe you're right. Yeah, that was my first time ever wrestling outside of the United States, actually.
Oh,
so, yeah, I've since, wrestled all over Europe, wrestled all over Asia, all over North America. But yeah, coming to Newfoundland that first time in 2012 was my first time ever, wrestling outside the United States. I've been out of the United States before as a kid and everything, but I guess that was quote unquote my first international tour. And it was something, those car trips, those rides, on unfinished roads up in that area were a little dangerous. And
yeah, you were up in Labrador, correct?
Yeah, that was one of the big spots. And I remember just driving for 22 hours or something. And there was no gas stations, no restaurants, no nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, there was a time there where I thought about quitting, especially when you're in the back of a ring truck sleeping on the cold steel of a ring. So, but it was a lot of fun. It was a huge, bonding experience for me because I met a lot of cool people while I was up there and got to work with a lot of new guys. And then, traveling with guys like Rhino and Jake Roberts, and that was just a special treat as well. And yeah, I've always enjoyed my time up there in Canada and up in Newfoundland.
Now, as Newfoundlanders know, that they always take you in and they're very complimentary and make you feel at home for sure. So another thing Newfoundlanders love to hear is compliments about themselves. So what did you like about Newfoundland other than the people and stuff? How different was it from where you came from in South Carolina?
Oh, it's definitely night and day. I guess we don't get a lot of snow down in South Carolina. And I think that's kind of a given up there. You're going to see a lot of snow, but I remember some of the beautiful countrysides and mountains and everything that we kind of passed through, and really taking the time to take that stuff in. Seeing a different part of the world is always fascinating to me. There was a lot of beautiful scenery. I think I saw my first moose on that tour. So that was kind of crazy. And then, just kind of like you said, the hospitality from everybody, the fans came out, they were very passionate, ready to see wrestling. And a lot of them, showed up, especially in the first couple nights we had, some real good houses, some good crowds. So they were loud and boisterous and the best kind of wrestling fans that you ask for, especially, if you factor in flying into another country, being on the road for 22 hours, unfinished roads, not a lot of food, not a lot of options, going out there and performing in front of a crowd like that, those kind of fans make it worth it for us. So.
Now I definitely got to ask, did you get screeched in while you were here?
I don't even know what that is. What does that mean?
No, never even heard of that. So you were here twice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're here in 2012 and then you came back in 2014, I believe, right?
I believe you're right. Yeah.
It's hard to keep track of, but yeah, I think I'm right. But anyways, I'm surprised you weren't screeched in. It's a customary tradition in Newfoundland for any outsiders that come here to welcome them in and make them honorary Newfoundlanders. You have to go through a process and you drink our screech. It's a very, very wicked alcohol. Very high concentration of alcohol. There's a whole process. If I could virtually do it right now for you, I would, but I need a codfish as well because you have to get a cod and you have to kiss the cod on the lips take the shot. There's a little saying, like Newfoundland saying, "Long may your or big jib draw," or something along those lines. I'm obviously not an official screecher, but yeah, it's a little tradition that Newfoundlanders kind of welcome you into Newfoundland and make you an honorary Newfoundlander.
Well, if alcohol was involved, maybe I was screeched in and I just don't remember.
That could be highly likely, especially that crew you were hanging around with. I'm sure they definitely got you screeched in, but you probably can't remember.
Yeah.
So, John, coming up in the last couple of years, you did mention you did have a pretty big ACL, MCL, LCL, OCL, DCL injury, but now things are definitely looking up. I'm sick of seeing you, man. You're on TV almost every week now.
Yeah.
But you're not officially signed with AEW, correct?
That is correct. No, I'm not.
But you were on the shows just as much or more than a lot of people. So you want to talk about AEW for a second, how all that came to be? And
yeah, I'd love to.
Excitement you have going on.
Yeah. Right at the beginning of the pandemic last year, I was set to do a tryout with WWE. Actually went down to the Performance Center, was there all of a day, and they flew us all home because it was right at the beginning of the pandemic, and they needed the Performance Center to tape SmackDown, Raw, and then we didn't know it at the time, but WrestleMania. So they kind of postponed the tryout to a later date. So right around that time too, the independents all were shutting down. I was just seeing my bookings just dwindle left and right on the independents. Everything was just, canceled. And so I'm sitting there at the house and trying to, think of where's my income going to come from? Schools also closed down, so there was no teaching to be had. So it was kind of like a scary time, and I was working out in my buddy's gym. He has a private gym, and I just got a text from QT Marshall from AEW, and he asked if I was interested in coming and doing some shots at TV. And I said, yeah, sure, when? And he said, what about Wednesday? And I said, sounds good to me. So, got my stuff together, drove down to Jacksonville. It's only about a 4-hour drive from where I was living at the time, and had my first match with Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. And that went so well that as soon as I came back through the curtain, they said, you're wrestling Billy Gunn next week. They knew right away, just like that. And,
immediately, as soon as you came back.
What's that?
Immediately, as soon as you came back, they booked you again.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy and surreal. And, I think Billy had a lot to do with that because me and Billy have wrestled before on the independents and have always had a good rapport over the years. So, went back, wrestled Billy. And then my next time back after that against the Dark Order is when I blew out my knee. So it was kind of just a freak accident. Happened, literally forward rolling underneath a clothesline to make a tag in a tag match. And, wrestlers always tend to chalk things up as, oh, it's nothing. It's a sprain or a Charlie horse or a cramp or whatever. And then as the match went on, because I ended up finishing the match, I could tell that I couldn't put any weight on it. There was no stability, no nothing. And then as soon as I got to the back, I pulled my knee pad down and it had already swollen up and, literally went right back to the medical room and they checked me out. They knew right away, you've definitely torn your ACL. And I went and got an MRI the next day, actually, with Chris Statlander. We both blew out our knees on the same night on the same tapings.
Yikes.
So we went and got our MRIs done together, and they told me I tore my ACL, my MCL, and my PCL. So got in for surgery, got it scheduled quick, and they were projecting me to be out for anywhere between 8 to 12 months, and I got back in 7. So
nice.
Just busted my ass with the rehab. And I got to give AEW a lot of credit too, because, Tony Khan promised that I'd be looked after and taken care of. And, from the moment I got hurt, Tony, rest assured, you have nothing to worry about. You're going to get taken care of. And they brought me back pretty much every week to TV just to rehab with their doctors. They paid me the entire time I was out when they didn't have to. So I can't thank them enough. And then also their medical staff, Doc Sampson, Bryce Reddy, and the whole crew there, they they were just great to me in terms of rehab and making sure I had everything I needed so I could get well. And that's all you ask for if you're a performer or a professional wrestler or do anything physically for a living, is to be taken care of that way. So I'm very indebted to them.
For sure. Absolutely. You have to appreciate that, especially when they go out of their way and go above and beyond what they're actually, I can't say if they're supposed to do anything, but it definitely shows what they're all about if they're willing to go above and beyond.
Yeah.
Now you are back and in full gear again. Pardon the pun. So what's on the schedule now? How do you find things with the pandemic? Like it's completely different world. Everything's tossed upside down. So like, how would you compare before the pandemic to now? Like, obviously there's no fans. There's a little bit of fans. You guys last week had probably the most fans you've had in over a year. So how different has it been during the pandemic to actually like perform and be able to get, your point across without fans?
Again, it's weird for me because I only had to wrestle in the empty arenas 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
And then I got hurt. So around the time that I got cleared back in January, I had to wrestle a couple of matches in the empty arena coming back. I think my first one back in January, my first match back was with Billy Gunn again, and Colton, his son. And then I did a couple others, but and then the fans came back, slowly are coming back. I think we had 1,500 in attendance last week, and I think for the pay-per-view there should be full capacity.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good to see the fans back because wrestling in front of nobody was weird, man.
Yeah.
It messes up your, the timing of it all was weird. You don't know if you had a good match or not because we gauge everything we do off the reaction of the people.
Yeah.
So there'd be a lot of nights I'd come to the back and I go, was that good? Or was that a good match? Or did I just, totally poop the bed out there? Like, I don't know. Like, but I was rest assured too that, no, I was doing a fine job. And, a part of the process for me that's been so fun and unique over the last year, because now it's crazy to think, but I've actually been a part of AEW for a year now.
Yeah.
Meeting a lot of the coaches and becoming friends with a lot of people that I looked up to as a kid, especially guys like Arn Anderson and Jerry Lynn, Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho. Like all these guys are colleagues of mine now, and some of them friends, and I get to hang out and talk to them on a regular basis and learn. And to have somebody like Arn Anderson text me after my match with Orange Cassidy to tell me, excellent job, kid. That was phenomenal. Like, wow. It's just like, wake me up. This has got to be a dream. Cause like Arn, is somebody I patterned myself after when I was coming up, and Tully both, especially coming from the Carolinas, I just thought the world of both those guys. And Arn was actually the first wrestler I ever saw wrestle live as a kid. Oh, yeah. Wow. So, having the praise of somebody like that, who I look up to, Jerry Lynn, somebody else who is actually kind of like my writing buddy now. We travel together while we're at TV. So it's been good getting to know him. And then, Jericho, man, like, again, same thing. Text me out of the blue to tell me, hey, great job with Orange Cassidy. Like, again, just pinch me on the arm and wake me up. Like, it's surreal.
That's the confidence and the camaraderie that those guys have, that they try to build each other up, obviously. So that's awesome to hear. Awesome.
Yeah. And I'm excited too when the fans come back. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to hang my hat full time just yet. There's a lot of opportunities out on the table for me right now that I'm really excited about. Yeah. But there's a lot of guys on the table, or, matches that could potentially happen at AEW that I want to happen, I should say, because I don't want to leave money on the table. There's a ton of guys I'd like to work with. Jericho, Christian, now that he's there. Yeah. I'd love to have a singles match with Jungle Boy and, Darby Allin, Ricky Starks. There's so many guys that I think are on the cusp of really being breakout superstars. And some, obviously, coming from WWE have already been gigantic stars. Sure. But then like Ray Phoenix would be great. Pac would be great to do singles matches. I'm just so excited about the potential of guys I can potentially work with.
Yeah, for sure. There's also a couple of guys on the roster that, well, one for sure that's an old tag team partner of yours, correct?
Yeah,
I think
I think he does well with tag teams.
Yeah, I think
he's
so.
I think he's doing okay.
Yeah, he seems to be one of those tag team guys. I don't know if maybe you can get a singles match with him, maybe.
We've done it before, man. We've done it probably 100 times. So it's
anyone that's not in the know and don't know what I'm talking about. Do you want to let us in on that and
yeah,
talk
sure.
about your past?
Sure. One of my best friends, if not my best friend in the business, is FTR's Cash Wheeler. Me and him traveled up and down the roads together, went overseas together, lived together. That's the closest thing I have is, to a brother in wrestling is him. And so it's just crazy to see how we all got here. Excuse me. Wrestling in front of 10 people in the armories, going from that to, where we are now. It's crazy how things end up panning out that way. I'm so proud of him and Dax, because me and Dax also go way back, another Carolina boy.
Right.
So he's somebody that I wrestled again on the independents and in bars in front of 15 people. So if you're out there and you're listening and you're getting started in wrestling, everybody goes through it. Everybody had to start somewhere, and literally those guys are at the top of their game. And I'm not going to say this just because they're my friends or my buddies or whatever, but they are the best tag team in the world, and I don't think there's any dispute. People can say what they want about the Young Bucks. Very good tag team, but in my opinion, FTR is the top team in the business right now.
I don't think you were there for the tapings, were you? But did you catch the Blood and Guts match this past week?
I did.
What are your thoughts?
I thought it was about as close as you can get to the old school War Games. I thought it was very well done, and definitely there was no lack of blood.
Pretty bloody.
Pretty bloody. I thought everybody played a vital part in making that match happen, and I thought it was so cool, man. And just the aura surrounding the double rings and the cage and the shots, the camera shots of the cage and the actual structure were mind blowing. I mean, it was really, really a spectacle. So if people haven't seen it, I challenge them to go back and watch it. And it's something if you're a talent watching at home, you want to be a part of something like that. I was almost jealous in a weird way of all those guys getting to be a part of something like that. As crazy as it sounds, because, you come out of that match different, that type of match, you come out bloodied, scarred, physically changed forever, potentially. And then we're the crazy ones because we want to be a part of it. And so I can't wait for the next Blood and Guts. And I'm hoping that in the future, maybe I can be a part of one of those matches. So it was really a spectacle, and it was very, very cool to watch.
Absolutely.
I was one of the 1 million people that tuned in.
Yeah, and of course it did great numbers. That's the main thing. I'm not going to keep you too long, but before I do let you go, I do want you to weigh in on the AEW WWE fan rivalry. I'm not going to say it's a rivalry between companies per se, even though it kind of is, but it seems like the fans are kind of divided in different ways. Myself, I try to watch everything, but there is people online and out there that do have very strong opinions. What's your thoughts on the overall rivalry, as it were?
Yeah. First of all, I think it's so cool that fans can be so passionate about professional wrestling. I think it's very cool that they feel one way or the other about the companies. And at the same time, now they're the ultimate winners because they don't have to make a choice anymore. They can pretty much they can watch both shows or all the shows. They can watch Impact Wrestling. They can watch New Japan. They can watch, Ring of Honor, and they don't really conflict with one another. And that's the beauty now of streaming services and, DVR and everything else. But I can tell you, I think there is a little bit of a healthy competition and rivalry amongst the locker rooms, the talent, because, obviously guys in AEW want to have the better show than WWE. They're hungry, and they're, hungry to make a change in professional wrestling. Same time, WWE, number one wrestling company in the world, will never go anywhere. Not anytime soon. and they want to continue to have out, put out the most consistent product that they can as well, and it be something that fans tune into. But I'm like yourself, man. I try to watch just about everything because I'm still the same wrestling fan at heart that I was as a kid.
Sure.
I love good wrestling, and I have a lot of friends now, thankfully, that I've accumulated and made over the last 13 years that work for every company. I've got friends in New Japan, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, WWE, and obviously AEW. So I'm just happy now that the business is in such a thriving state where so many guys, including myself, can make money now, and not only make money, but have options to go elsewhere, because for a long time it wasn't that way.
That's right.
And especially when I broke in 2008, if you weren't 6'6" or, maybe 6'2" or whatever, and you had to be like 230 pounds, WWE wasn't going to take a look at you. That was just the way it was. Being an independent wrestler was almost a dirty word back in the day. So just to see how the business has evolved and changed, and just the growth and the opportunity that's out there, it's exciting. It's exciting to be a part of a business that has so much job opportunity right now.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's you're definitely reaping the rewards right now, because wrestling, it seems to be in a real hot spot right now. Honestly, I don't know if it's just because we're actually so far into it, but it's a good time. It's a good time right now, and I wish nothing but success for yourself, obviously, in AEW. I want to thank you so much for your time. Before we head out, I want to give you a chance to throw in some plugs there. Anything you got coming up, and maybe your social media handles or anything like that you want to pass along to everybody who's watching?
Yeah. So people can follow me on social media, on Twitter and on Instagram at the John Skyler. It's Skyler. I have a YouTube channel. People can subscribe to that. I've always got pretty cool, old school matches of mine that I put up from time to time, old promos, vignettes and stuff that I, shot on my own when I was out injured, and, really cool stuff on the YouTube channel that people can check out. And, a lot of craziness is going on right now in my career, and the next few weeks and months are going to be probably some of the most vital of my career, most important few weeks coming up. But, I'm still available to do independence for now. I'm doing a lot of stuff here in the Carolinas still, and then I'll be doing a lot of shows coming up for my buddy Luke Gallows for Lariato Pro Wrestling in Georgia. So I encourage people to follow Lariato Pro on social media and check out some of the shows that he's got coming up, because I know he's going to be they're all on Impact Plus, a lot of the Lariato shows. So if fans subscribe to Impact Plus, they can check out some of Gallows's Lariato Pro. I know, Carl Anderson will be coming in soon, Rich Swann, Tommy Dreamer, Chavo Guerrero, No Way Jose. I guess I can't call him that anymore. Yeah. But tons of great guys that fans are familiar with. A lot of guys from Impact Wrestling will be coming down, and it's a lot of fun, man. They're going to see the fans are going to get to see a lot of unique matches coming up, and it's just crazy, the crossover. Impact Wrestling guys showing up on AEW guys showing up on Impact. It's New Japan's now involved. It's a fun time to be a wrestling fan, and I'm still a wrestling fan at heart. And lastly, I have a pro wrestling tees store. It hasn't been updated. It hasn't been updated in a while, but if fans want to go and check out some of my older merch, they can, or they can contact me directly. I've got a lot of shirts for sale, 8x10s, trading cards, ring-worn memorabilia, all sorts of cool stuff for fans. If they want to contact me directly, they can just drop me a line on Twitter or on Instagram.
Yeah, you're very accessible. You answer back right away, and I do appreciate that, of course. All right, John, I hate to do this, but we got to sign off right now. But thank you again so much for your time. And honestly, I wish you nothing but success. You're a good guy, not blowing smoke up your ass, but when you were here, there's so many of us that said that guy's, he's good. He's going to do something. So to pop on YouTube, to pop on TV and see you in the ring in AEW, it honestly, it makes you feel good, man. So props.
I really appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on your show.
Excellent. Thanks, John. All right. This has been Wrestling Shed Live exclusive with John Skyler. Thank you so much.